folks, welcome to lesson 8.4. It's actually lesson 2.4 from chapter 8. And now that you've finished the quiz, we are going to move on to negative exponents and zero exponents and be looking at our next two sets of power rules. Hopefully you did well in the quiz. You've got those first four rules down really well. We're going to add rule 5 and 6 today. All right, so you can see, let's write the date up here. This is going to be September 17th if you have an odd class, or the 18th if you have an even class. And as I explained earlier in class, I'm off on that. I apologize. That is the wrong date. September 18th. Or the 19th. This Friday is September the 19th. My bad. As I explained in class, hopefully you'll have a chance to get this video done as well as your quiz done, and then all you'll have to do is the assignment for today. Okay, so unit mantra, use rules you already know, but the main thing we've been saying over and over is let's think about what it means. Okay, so we are going to look at example 1, where you have 7 to the 6th over 7 to the 6th, which would be, if I'm thinking about what it means, 7 sixes. Oh, look at that, 6, 7. I'm sure you're loving that. And 7, I said that backwards, 6 sevens. Even better. I've used that example for the last 5 years. I'm sure you're loving that. And if I think about what it means and I cancel before I start, I can cancel, I can cancel, I can cancel, I can cancel, I can cancel. And I always ask people, what do I get? And if we were in class, some of you would say 0. We don't get 0. All of these cancel down to 1. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, you get 1. Okay? If I use the rule 7 to the 6th minus 6 would give me 7 to the 0. And what I'm trying to show you is that whenever you get anything to the 0 power, the value it simplifies out to is 1. Another way you could visualize that is hopefully you would say that if you had 2 over 2 or 5 over 5 or 12 over 12 or 315 over 315, when you have the same number in the numerator and the denominator, that cancels to 1. So if I have 7 to the 6th over 7 to the 6th, that cancels to 1. Okay, let's look at example 2. And I need to clear my screen. Again, I can think about what this means by rule. 12 to the 10 minus 10 is going to give me 12 to the 0. Or I can write out what it means, a whole bunch of 12s. I don't want to have to do this. I want to learn the shortcut rules. That's only 5, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 12s over 10 12s. Hopefully you're starting to realize why we don't want to do things with this big of powers. We want to have something to write them shortcut. All of those would cancel out, whether I do it with the rules or I do it with the powers. What they mean, I end up with 1. And that brings us to rule number 4 of the, 5 of the unit, rule number 5, the key concept, put a bullet around it, put a box around it. For any non-zero number a to the 0 power is 1. In your own words, any number with a 0 exponent equals 1. That's pretty powerful because I can write a really hard problem that I want you to do, but if it's in parentheses into the 0 power, then we get 1. Take a minute and try to find your answers to 3 and 4. Following that rule here, you would have negative 9. It's in parentheses. That means the whole thing is to the 0 power. That answer is 1. Here you have the quantity raised to a power. Now remember, that would mean 5 to the 0, r to the 0, which would be 1 times 1, which means my answer would be 1. And you don't really even have to do that. It means everything in here to the 0 power is all 1. Now, we get to number 5, things get a little trickier. The answer to number 5 is not 1. The answer to number 5 is 5 times 1. This part is 1, but this part is not. So my answer to number 5 would be 5. 5 times 1 is 5. You try 6 and 7. Is negative 6 to the 0 power positive or negative? That would be positive. Everything in there would be to the 1 power. That would give me positive 1. That would be a positive number. Is the opposite of 6 to the 0 positive? Oh, this negative is supposed to be down here. Sorry, that wrapped weird on that screen. It looks fine on your notes, I believe. Hopefully we all understand this one would be negative. The 0 is only on the 6. This means the opposite of what you get when you do 6 to the 0 power. So this one would be negative. So the rules for negatives and the rules for exponents all stay the same. Just understanding anything to the 0 power is 1. So that is the 5th rule. Let's look at the 6th rule. This is where things get interesting. Next thing we're going to look at when we start these, if you look at example 8 and example 9, is when I do the shortcut rules that we've learned, 6 to the 3rd over 6 to the 5th, that is going to give me 6 to the negative 2. And some of you ask, what are we going to do if we get negative exponents? I don't know what that means. This is what we're going to fix. This gives me 4 to the negative 3. And in order to understand key concept number 5, down here at the bottom, don't worry about writing anything yet, let's think about what it means. If I use the rules, it means 6 to the negative 2. If I write out what it means I have 1 over 6 squared. In number 9, if I write out what it means with the rules, 4 to the negative 3, if I cancel the factors, it means I have 1 over 4 to the 3rd. The key concept says for any non-zero number, integer n, a to the negative, this didn't copy over on the PowerPoint correctly. Anytime you have a negative exponent, you get 1 over a to the n. Couple of things I want us to write as our notes there. Notice it did not mean a negative value. It does not mean a negative value. You have to really retrain your brain. Lots of kids will tell me this means negative 36. So wrong. Okay? The negative exponent means you have to flip the value. Instead of having 6 to the 2nd power, I need that reciprocal, which means I got to move it to the bottom. The negative exponent means it changes locations. And I don't want you to just make a fraction, because eventually, Monday, we're going to have negatives in the denominator. So I like to think of it as a change of location. And then you do the math. So this one would have been 1 over 36, not negative 36. This one would have been 1 over 64, not negative 64. Because when I cancel this out, instead of having numbers left in the numerator, they're now left in the denominator, which means the numerator just has a 1. Okay? So let's try a couple. 10 is 3 to the negative 1. Again, 3 to the negative 1. 3 to the negative 1 does not mean negative 3. The negative exponent means you move it. Right now it's in the numerator, so it's going to go to the denominator. And that's your answer. If this had been a 2, I would have gotten 1/9. If it had been a 3, I would have gotten 1/27. You still do the exponent when it says simplify, but first you move its location because it started out negative. W to the 4th means move it 1 over W to the 4th. 12. Negative 2 to the negative 3. Okay, always tell my kids, take care of the negatives first. So that's going to be 1 over negative 2 in parentheses to the 3rd. You've taken care of the negative part. Now you've got to simplify the base and the exponent. This is going to be 1 over negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Hopefully we all got the 2 to the 3rd down. My final answer would be 1 over negative 8. So I would get negative 1/8. That's the basis of the 2 new rules we learned today. A to the 0 is 1, and A to a negative m means 1 over A to the m. It means it moves. Monday when you come back, we will be doing some problems that have it already starting in the bottom. If it's already in the bottom, that means it will move to the top. What you need to know right now for today is how to apply those 2 rules. Number 1 mistake, 5 to the negative 2. Tons of kids will say is negative 25. Don't make mistake number 1. This would be 1 over 5 to the 2nd, which would be 1/25. Give them a try with some basic ones. I think you'll be fine there. Oh, I can't simplify that out. Let me pause this really briefly here. Let me just slide through these really quick. We'll get through those. Okay, you're going to do assignment number, I need to look at my notes here. This will be assignment number 17. Assignment number 17. You are going to submit your notes that you just finished, and then you are going to submit the worksheet. And on the worksheet that you'll be doing, you will see that you are analyzing some problems. And it's sort of like matching, but I get a lot of kids who just want to do the puzzle and not do the matching. So the very first box looks like this. 5 squared, 5 to the negative 2, 2 to the negative 5. And then you have some choices over here. You have 1 over 32, you have 1 over 64, you have 25, and you have 1 over 25. You are going to do your simplifying. 5 to the second's 25. You're going to write your answer right next to it. Every year I get kids that draw these lines and arrows all over the place, and it looks like a bunch of snakes all over the paper. Just write what it's going to be. This one's going to be 1 over 5 squared, which is 1/25. This one's going to be 1 over 2 to the 5th, which is going to be 1 over 32. Your 3 answers should be one of the 4 available there. So we use this one, and we use this one, and we use this one. That means this one, S, was not used. That's the number that goes up in the puzzle. In box 1, you would put an S because that was left. I don't really care if you do the puzzle. I do want you checking your answers, and I want your answers next to the problems. Okay? We will pick up there with that basic knowledge of a negative exponent when I see you again on Monday. Make sure you have 2 submissions. You should have your notes, which is one-sided, and your worksheet, which is one-sided, in assignment 17 by the time you arrive on Monday. Great job today.